play postal chess to do your international games.
Amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. What about you, Evan? What's something we don't know about you?
I am devoted to wellness and have spent the last 3 years of my life biohacking, using alternative kind of modalities, biohacking my way back to health, which we'll get into, which has led me to my company. But super into alternative and holistic medicine.
Thanks.
Okay. Yes, which we will learn more about during the actual pitch. All right, what about you, Eliza?
I am, or was before things a little bit changed, but I was an abalone diver. My family, Isabel's my sister.
Abalone.
An abalone. Yeah, so if
I
you're
don't
from
even
San
know what
Francisco,
that,
you know.
what's this word?
It's actually in the snail family. It's like a big mussel, and it's you dive for it on the off of the, you know, we go on the coast.
It's a hardcore thing to do.
Wow. So how long are you under the water? Yeah, are you like, how long are you under the water?
However, I mean, my dad, who's like been doing this his whole life, he grew up in Marin. He can stay under for a long time. I maybe like 20 seconds max for me, because the pressure, you know, you don't have a tank.
Yeah, of course. Right, totally, on your lungs. That's cool. That is so insane.
Yeah, it is cool. Except that actually the abalone population has been kind of devastated recently, so they shut down.
Froze a bit.
Oh yeah, froze.
It's okay. Abalone's great.
I was gonna say,
maybe, that's badass.
Yeah, it's like, did you get your lungs from your dad? Maybe, is that where? I mean, because I feel like that's, yeah.
He's one of those guys where he's like, "What do you mean you're scared? Like, you're just gonna do it?" And you're like, okay.
Why aren't you both doing this? Eliza and Isabel are sisters, so it's like, Isabel, what? Isabel, what? Tell us.
There's actually a third one. There's another sister.
Oh, and a third one. Okay.
The third one.
So, but only Eliza is the diver. Among children.
I think Adrian is the youngest one. I think she's maybe gone before.
Okay.
Our family's very outdoors, so we've been backpacking since we were like 4, and skiing, and I mean, my dad used to ski with us, like in one of those child carrier backpacks.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
My mom was half okay with that, but
yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, you guys had it from when you were very, very young. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good place to grow up.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was your? Oh, actually, I think we just had a few more judges join us, so we will take a pause in the icebreaker questions. Yeah. So I think Sarah, can you please say something? And yeah.
Hey guys, can you hear me? Okay.
Hi, Sarah. Yes.
I'm Sarah Fay. I'm with Glasswing Ventures. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for joining. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Okay, so yep, you're set. And Charu, can you yeah, I see you. Can you also unmute yourself?
Yes.
Awesome.
1, 2, 3.
Hey, testing. Yep. All right, and then okay, Julie just joined us.
Charu, so nice to see you.
Yeah.
I just realized I messaged you on LinkedIn.
Oh, me?
Yeah, I think about something totally separate.
Okay, I'll go take a look.
I'm having a small world moment.
LinkedIn has been very spammy for me recently, so I think all the important messages get in the backlog as well. So I'll go take a look.
Oh wow, that's
nice to see you all. And then are we waiting for Julie?
Yeah, actually, Julie just joined us. So
I'm
Julie,
here.
Hey, Julie, nice to see you. It's been forever.
Great to see you. Yeah, congrats on the, well, I don't know if it's new, but I haven't seen you since your changed role. So congrats.
I thank you. I hit my 2-year today.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing. Yeah,
congrats.
Which Amazon years are like dog years. So really I've lived like 10.
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing. Congrats.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah, so we have, I think we're waiting on 2 startups to join us. We were spending a time doing icebreaker questions. The question was, what's something that we don't know about you? And we learned a lot so far. I don't know if you guys want to quickly say what you said to the rest of the group. Erica?
I played football as the only girl in high school on the team.
Yep. And then Christina.
I was an internationally ranked chess champion when I was 11.
And then Eliza.
I'm an abalone diver.
Evan.
I'm extremely into functional and integrative medicine and biohack my way back to health after 7 years of being chronically sick.
Yep. What did we have next? It was, no,
We were on to Isabel.
Isabel, sorry.
I went on a tangent of, so Eliza and I are sisters, if that wasn't apparent by our last names. And then there's a third sister, actually. We were just kind of going on a tangent on all our childhood.
Right. Yeah. But I don't think, what was the thing that you had shared? Because I know we know about your dad.
I was going to share that I have another sister besides.
Okay. Oh, that's your sharing point. Got it. Okay.
I mean, there's something I could share here that Eliza doesn't already know, so I suppose there's.
That's true. It's extremely difficult when your sister is on as well. Sarah, what do we not know about you?
Well, it's in my bio that I was the CEO of a fairly large organization, but it's not in my bio that I got my start selling ads in flea market magazines.
Wow, that's awesome. Charu.
Yeah, this is a very cool and diverse group, by the way. This is awesome. So I grew up in India in a family that was very conservative. We didn't travel. My parents were homebodies, and somehow they're just, I don't know, teenage rebel. I don't know. I started to really love traveling. And so at this point, I've been to all the 7 continents and all states in the US except Alaska. So once the economy reopens and it's safe, I'm so excited to just go to Alaska.
Yeah. Sweet. So what are you planning on doing in Alaska?
Oh, there are so many beautiful national parks there. I think at least 7. So I love to just go hiking, spend time in nature and wildlife. So I think that would be the highlight there.
Nice. Okay, so we just had another, I think Jennifer join us.
Hi there.
Yeah. So hi.
Hi there.
Is Bri joining us?
Yeah, she should be.
Okay. All right.
I'm just gonna check where she is.
Okay.
It's just yeah, it's 12:30 in the morning here. So I'm just gonna give her a call, make sure she hasn't fallen asleep.
Yeah, that's a good one.
How much time have we got until the pitch starts?
Not very much. We're supposed to start like in 2 minutes.
In 2 minutes, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so to the rest of you, I will. I'm just gonna play the timer that I will have on my phone. So that is the sound. Okay, so Lisa, no, oh yeah, okay, there's Lisa who joined us. I'm going to add her. Okay, hey Lisa. Lisa, do you hear me? Okay, oh, you're currently muted. So please, okay, perfect. And do you want to say something? So we just check your audio really quick and put your video on. Let me see.
How's that?
Okay, perfect. Yeah. All right. Okay. So I think we are still right. So we're still waiting on Bri, but we will just let her join us after we started. Okay. So to the founders, I'm going to put you back into attendee status and then bring you back when it's your turn. Okay. So I think, let's see. First, we've got.
Should we turn our videos off
No.
so we can distract them? Okay.
Yeah, you could keep it on, especially the judges. So, okay, let me move. Oh, yeah, just a reminder for the judges, please mute yourself during the actual presentation. Okay. Who else? Okay. Just quickly checking if we had. Okay, all right. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Anna, and we are Epic Events, the organizer of today's Pitcher Female Founder, Co-Founder Tech Startup to Investor Panel of VCs and Angels event. Epic is an e-commerce website for frontier tech products and events. Frontier tech includes AR, AI, blockchain, biotech, and other bleeding edge industries. Our mission at Epic Events is to ignite ideas and expose technologies that will underpin future society. Before we dive into our event today, I want to cover our next upcoming events. So tomorrow we've got an AI pitch. Monday on Memorial Day, we've got an enterprise pitch. On Tuesday, we've got a future of fintech VC panel. And later that day, we have a fireside chat with Fizzle's female CIO and head of engineering. And then later in the week, we have a state of digital health VC panel. All right, so I want to quickly cover the format. Each startup will have 4 minutes to present, 4 minutes to hear from the judges, any questions that they have, and then 4 minutes to get feedback. All right, so now I want to turn it over to our judges. Judges, please introduce yourself, your company, your investment thesis, and any prior investments that are relevant to this event. So Sarah, let's start with you.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Sarah Fay, and I am a partner and managing director at Glasswing Ventures. We are a Boston-based firm that focuses on the AI category of tech. And we tend to do seed and some pre-seed investing. So typically we want to put 1 to 2 million into a company and buy about 10% ownership, typically as part of a bigger round. We invest in cybersecurity, we invest in enterprise SaaS. Primarily, we are B2B investors. I'm not exactly sure what we have that's relevant to this cohort, but some companies we've invested in are, for instance, a company called Inrupt, which was invented by Sir Timothy Berners-Lee, the guy who invented the World Wide Web. So we have some famous co-founders and academics involved. Not sure if you would recognize a lot of the companies because they are in the B2B space. And because we're a relatively new firm, we launched our first fundraise in 2016 and we closed it in 2018 at 112 million. So we're still in our Fund 1 deployment. So watch this space.
Yeah, and congrats. I think closing a fund is always extremely difficult. So, all right, next we've got Julie.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. I'm Julie. I'm one of the co-founders and managing partners of the Urban Innovation Fund. We invest in startups shaping the future of cities. So we invest across a variety of verticals, everything from transportation to energy and water to the future of work, all with the goal of growing and scaling to many cities across the globe. We typically get involved at the pre-seed and seed stage. And in addition to providing capital, we also like to emphasize regulatory support since we've seen it be an area of need. In terms of deal activity, we do about 8 to 10 deals a year. We're happy to lead, co-lead, follow, be part of a syndicate, so we can be pretty flexible. For our Fund 1, we have 23 companies in that portfolio, and we're actively investing out of our Fund 2, and so very much deploying capital and excited to hear all your pitches. And I think you're muted.
You are so right. All right. Thank you, Julie. Next, we've got Charu.
Hi. So I'm actually a founder, and my experience has been mostly in enterprise and future of work. I do some angel investing. So I think the two more popular startups that I've invested in are Calm and Notion, and they're both unicorns. Although I think it takes an immense amount of luck for a startup to really get to that stage. So the reason I angel invest is mostly to support other founders. When I started my first company, I knew nothing about fundraising, and it's really a game. You know the rules and you can play it well. You need to know the right story. You need to know what is in it for investors, and so I am very passionate about helping other founders, especially female founders, to try to level the playing field. So reach out on LinkedIn if I can be of service.
Thanks, Charu. Okay, so lastly, we've got Erica.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erica Murdoch Balbuena, and I am currently the global head of impact computing at Amazon Web Services. I formerly helped build Twilio.org and founded the Twilio Impact Fund, where we made investments in companies that were leveraging communications to advance positive change in the world. And Hustle and Adovo and Kinvolved were the three investments. I think I set up one more before I left. I'm here today more from a lens of kind of cloud technology. I worked at TaskRabbit prior to Twilio, so I have startup experience. I'm also an entrepreneur, so I build impact businesses within inside of large companies. And I'm thrilled to hear your pitches.
Awesome. All right. So let's get to it. So first up, we've got Lisa Mans with Authenticid. Oh, Lisa, yeah, you're muted. I'm always guilty of this myself, as I already have on this. Yeah, whenever you're ready. Oh, again, muted. Lisa?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. We hear you. Great.
Were you checking to make sure I was still there? I didn't run away.
Yes. So please share your screen.
Yep, that's what I'm getting.
Okay, there you go. Awesome.
Move you guys over here. Oh, sorry. Zoom newbie. Okay, so as this is queuing up, Authenticid. So I want you to think about this. What did you want to be when you were a kid? Was it a firefighter, someone rich and famous, a superhero? Whatever you wanted to be, I can guarantee that you wanted to light the world on fire and change the world for the better, didn't you? Well, my name is Lisa Mans, and I'm the co-founder and visionary for Authenticid. Early on, at 12 years old, I watched a fellow student get killed by a white panel truck zooming down the street. I later that very same year watched as a friend on our school bus was sexually harassed and assaulted. I learned from those two life-changing moments that I wanted to champion kids' rights, protect their safety, and help them to find their own voices. I did so my entire life so far, including raising 6 amazing kids and at current count 7 grandkids. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about how you can help us be a champion for kids too, right now. Authenticid Inc. is building compliance and cybersecurity software that protects companies from liability due to regulation non-compliance. It also prevents predatory attacks on minors by verifying identity. The average age of a minor to sign up for social media accounts right now is 10 years old, even though compliance says participants must be over the age of 13. 65% of kids between the ages of 8 and 14 have already been involved in a cyberbullying incident online. The suicide rates of kids ages 10 to 14 have tripled in the last decade. And to me, the most frightening is that 75% of students who have received sexual solicitation online have not told their parents. So if you look around, for every 4 parents, 3 of you don't know. Is this a coincidence? These statistics were present before shelter-in-place orders were issued. And now with COVID-19 and the internet use going up 60% for kids and adults, this product is needed more than ever right now. Corporations, content creators, host platforms, and others are at huge financial risk. And most adults outside of the tech industry believe the Regulatory Compliance Acts protect children online from predators, when in fact, they only protect data and how it is used. The big difference for companies using Authenticate is we do not rely on the outdated, unsafe trust policy of the internet. We collect, store, analyze, and maintain data necessary to provide our clients with true verified parental consent. Now, our primary target market is the online game industry. Games like Minecraft, Fortnite, Roblox have more than 100 million active monthly users. They have in-game chat options that keep our kids unintentionally at risk every day. Our secondary focus will be the social media and mobile messaging apps such as WhatsApp, Discord, TikTok, and Kids World. Now, for the last 20 years or so, teenagers and even younger kids have figured out ways around those newer tattletale apps that you hear about. Think of it like that squeaky step you found in the hallway when you went to sneak out of your house in the middle of the night when you were a teenager. There's no difference. Companies will pay on a sliding scale based on users and net monthly profit between 1% and 3%. Now, obviously, the more users and more net profit you have, the lower the percentage is going to be, because we're still collecting more money. And when we collect more money, so do our investors. Legislators and law enforcement offices are submitting letters of endorsement and letters of intent to partner with us to use our decoy accounts that we've designed. Now here you can meet our team, Devin, our cybersecurity officer, Kieran, our tech guru, and of course, myself. We're there on the end. With the $500,000 we're asking for, we plan to hire additional staff to speed up the launch, run beta testing for our decoy accounts, increase marketing efforts while providing ourselves with an 18-month runway. What we've done today is we've given you the ability to change the world for the better by protecting future leaders of tomorrow today. If you're ready to put on your superhero cape with us, we're ready to take the leap and fly with you. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
All right, thanks, Lisa. Judges, questions?
Lisa, can you walk through a customer use case?
A customer use case? Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, just throwing out a name out there. Let's say, because it's dual facing, okay? Parents will register online with us with their kids. That's how we verify the identity. So Minecraft or Roblox, like, okay, we'll talk about I use her as a guinea pig all the time. My 9-year-old daughter, Alyssa, she likes to play Roblox. So I sign up with Alyssa. She gets onto Roblox. For example, with Authenticate, I could geo-fence her so that she could only contact on Roblox kids in her school system or on or in her zip code, or and it could get bigger. It just depends on how a parent wants to do it. It actively I can also say, okay, it has to be someone who's already been Authenticate verified rather than just general zip code as well. There's a lot of different opportunities, but as far as the clients themselves, we go in and we audit their sites for the compliance necessary. What different functions do they have? Where are their vulnerabilities? And then we make sure as we're a third party safe harbor, that we host all that correct data, and they only get the bare minimum they need to function on that site. And when our kids come on their site, it actually dings them so that they don't track them, they don't store any data, and they don't target market them while they're on as well. Did that answer that question?
Thank you.
So is this basically like a certification system, like a trustee, like you mentioned the decoy accounts? Is that how you determine, whether a site is safe?
It is a part of it, but we actually also track predators, and the information goes to the FBI as well as local law enforcement. That's part of the geofencing part of it. The law enforcement locally here, I'm in Virginia Beach, Virginia, by the way. The local law enforcement officer here, Sean Lacey, who's working with us, asked us to include geofencing because, for example, a Facebook or a Roblox, they are a mandatory reporter should someone come in and say, oh, I was sexually harassed, I'm a minor and I was solicited online, right? So you have to report it to them, and they then have to actually report it to missing and exploited children. Missing and exploited children then sends the information to the FBI, who then sends the information, hopefully, to the right local law enforcement agency. That's why it's so hard to catch these predators online, for a multitude of reasons. So if we include geofencing for our kids, then, for example, Sean was like, that way we know exactly where it needs to go because the kids were already geofenced. So that predator who contacted them has to be in this vicinity.
So you didn't really talk about what the pricing looks like. That would be, and how you justify the pricing to the companies. Obviously, there's a benefit in keeping their environments safe. Is there some form of payback besides that?
Absolutely. One of the things that we do is we actually include data compliance, and we're a safe harbor for that data. So we, as a third party, they can't get in trouble if they're not storing the data. And we verify that those parents are giving that consent, that it's not a kid making up a separate account saying, yeah, my mom's letting me do this. There's a lot of it. Making sure that they are COPA, BIPA, GDPR, and FERPA, and I think SEPA compliant is important. And the thing is we're seeing second and third generation lawsuits coming out now. So for example, a content creator gets hit, a game company, right? Because they downloaded their app was downloaded off of Google Play. Google is now hit. And then let's say they had Facebook doing their data analytics. Facebook gets hit. So you've got 3 lawsuits out of 1. And then and there's a string of lawyers now that are actually saying, oh, they got that, they're suing them for COPA. Let's go ahead and go after BIPA. Let's go ahead and go after the another compliance. So it's creating a very interesting monetization cycle for the law industry. But I'd prefer to protect our industry, and especially if they're really trying to do the right things.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. Judges, we are now in our feedback. So if you actually have questions, please include it in your feedback.
I think it would be helpful at the beginning to walk us through a little bit more of the customer side, whether it's the child or the family maybe, or the business. So, and you could do that at the beginning. Like you pulled us in with remember when you were a kid, but then I would launch right into like, what's the experience of this look like, and pull out a little bit more of the problem that you're solving, because you got into it with a couple of your questions, but I was still left kind of questioning what exactly what problem you were solving while you were pitching.
Okay, thank you.
And if you haven't checked out Thorn as an organization, you should.
I'm sorry?
Thorn, THORN. They
Thorn?
operate
As in rose?
as in a rose thorn. They just won the TED Prize for keeping kids safe online. So you should take a look at some of the things they're doing.
Wonderful. I'd love
Yeah.
to. Thank you.
I think in terms of the presentation, you had a really strong and compelling personal story that definitely drew us in, and the mission is incredibly important. I think the question that I really had was around business model and what the product really was. And so, back to Erica's point on the customer use case, I think highlighting that more in your pitch would be valuable. I realize there's only 4 minutes, but yeah, I think that would help.
I agree with Erica and Julie about talking a little more about the product and what the customer goes through, maybe highlight the traction more. So I think the larger feedback would be that, but here's an actionable suggestion of how that could be done possibly. And it's ultimately up to you, so take this with a pinch of salt. But you had a slide where you mentioned how there are 55 million kids at home or something. Then you showed gender, age, etc. And so I thought, you could start with something like that, but you could highlight some numbers there. So you mentioned how I think suicide rates are 3 times as much. And so if you could just start with some really shocking numbers, very briefly, just with 1 or 2 slides, and then very quickly jump to your own story. I think both of those could possibly be done within the first 30 to 45 seconds. And then you could focus more on product, market. And then one more thing I would add is, actually 2 more quick things. The first feedback is, especially with fundraising, I think your vision is very important. So if you want to end or even start by talking about the future, what's the big goal there? And then a minor feedback is about the slides. So I thought there were a couple slides that were a little busy. So it's a little distracting to read the text there. And I thought I wrote down the specific ones. I think the target market slide. And then there was one more, but I think other than that, it was really
the competition slide.
The other one was the competition slide, right? And that also left me thinking, you said something, clearly there's features that you cover that the competitors don't, but I was left thinking, wow, there's a lot of competitors. I don't know the size of these companies. I don't know, their importance to the marketplace or whether they could move into the space that you're talking about too. And I think one of the points was depicting like the business opportunity. What's the vision in terms of like, how big could this be? And what's the commercial, I think that was one of my questions too, but what is the commercial motivation behind it? What are you charging and why do these companies need this? You mentioned a couple lawsuits. What are the size of the lawsuits? How impactful can they be to the business? Are people going to buy this because they're afraid or because there's actually a business benefit to telling people they're a safe environment? That's
a really good point. I was thinking you could start with a shocking stat. Actually, you could start with that. Let's say X company was hit by a lawsuit for these many millions of dollars.
Yeah. Google being hit by $170 million last fall was definitely something we had, and it got edited. So,
yeah. All right, judges, thank you so much. And thank you,
You're
Lisa.
too young to
Best
be
of luck, Lisa. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great.
All right.
We do get a copy of this, right?
Yes, you will. You'll get a
Great.
recording so that you can watch it all over again and make sure you incorporate everyone's suggestions. All right. So next up, we've got
Thank you very much. Have a good evening, ladies.
Yukako Kiso with Kukuli. Let's see. So Yukako, whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. Let me share the screen. Kukuli It's a contactless solution for dine-in ordering and payment. As you already know, there are many industries that have been disrupted by device-based seamless experience. Uber, Airbnb, Amazon are just a few examples. And what about restaurants? We identified two major problems which users face at restaurants. Firstly, inefficient ordering and payment method. Bill splitting tends to be uncomfortable and often unfair, and there is always a wait time to order and pay. Secondly, it's difficult to organize dinner. There are too many tools and too much work. So Kukuli makes it easy to organize dining through groups, followers, and instant in-app messaging. We solved the bill splitting problem, and also we have a social dining feature where users can meet new people. Restaurants face slightly different problems. They have high operating costs and staff costs, and majority of their customers desire faster payments. Ordering and paying through Kukuli app provides convenience for guests and more efficient operation for restaurants. They also face the issue of splitting payments, which we solve by providing restaurant with one receipt per table. And finally, safety. COVID-19 has changed the existing standards of health safety and how people interact. Menus, cards, bill holders, terminals are all touched by many people. And we have created a solution for contactless ordering and payment, which makes the environment safer for users and restaurants. Why now? Because in the last few years, there has been clear trend towards time saving and convenience. And more recently, contactless ordering and payments. Restaurant market, excluding the fast food, had $300 billion revenue in 2019 in USA and $800 billion in the world. Kukuli's business model is charging restaurants percentage of the bill subtotal in a modest monthly subscription fee. In the last 10 months, we have built MVP for both restaurant and user app, designed web page and backend services, signed up 14 restaurants and completed 50 plus dining events. Secured initial users through meetup organizers and marketing support through food Instagrammers. We also organized fundraising gift card campaign for local restaurants and raised $2,000. The feedback we received was very positive from both users and restaurants. We have a detailed go-to-market plan for next 4 months with the final goal of reaching 100 restaurants and 3,000 active users in September. Our competitors, besides established players like OpenTable, are new startups in this industry worldwide, which shows that there is interest in this technology and service. Our main competitive advantage is that we are the first app with all the features for contactless and seamless dine-in experience, as well as safer, faster, and more comfortable way for people to dine at restaurants. We are looking to raise $500,000 in safe or convertible notes. This will primarily be used for user and restaurant acquisition with a goal to reach 200 restaurants and 20,000 users in 6 months. Our team has more than 10 years of experience. Myself as an event and meetup organizer, my co-founder in finance and payments industry, and our CTO as a software developer. Also, all of our advisors have more than 10 years of experience in marketing and restaurant industry. We believe timing is right for this technology since there is a clear trend towards seamless and contactless platforms. Who provides this for restaurants? We have proved that we can execute and our team is well experienced. Do you believe the future brings contactless payments in restaurants? And based on what we have already achieved, do you believe we have a chance to be part of this future? Thank you for your time.
Wow, right on the dot. All right, judges, questions?
Thanks for the presentation. Can you talk about how the product actually works?
Sure. So basically, it's in the app. The user has an app, and the restaurant has a tablet, which we provide them. And there's like people can look for the restaurant, browse and search for restaurants, and they can book the restaurant, order, split the bills, and pay for the bills, and all through that. And all those information will be directly go to that restaurant tablet that the restaurant has.
And that's for a dine-in experience as well as takeout?
Dine-in and takeout, yes. Right now, it's basically only a dine-in, but we're gradually shifting towards takeout as well.
You touched on COVID a little bit in the presentation, but most of the headlines around restaurants right now are that they're vastly struggling and that dine-in experience is going to suffer. So how are you thinking about that from either a focused geographic standpoint or addressing COVID?
Yes, so I am based in New York City, and it's actually one of the epicenter. Like, it's hitting really hard. But I actually see restaurants that are already starting to open for takeout and delivery, and hopefully they'll be open by July for probably 50% of the capacity. And the bottom line is restaurants will be reopened because of the economical purpose, and the important question is, how will they operate? How will they operate that restaurant dine-in operation? It will not be the same. The menus, they cannot use that reusable menus anymore. People will not want to hand out credit cards. They don't want to touch it. You don't want to swipe it, because those swiping machine, it gets like, hundreds of swiping from who knows where did the credit card came from. So all these things are concerns from both the user side and the restaurant side. And we basically clear all of those. We have a solution for all of those concerns. We will be able to help them operate the restaurant management more safely.
Got it. And does this remove waiters and servers, and how are you tackling that as either a positive or negative thing?
Right. So it won't be removing waiters. We will always need somebody to upsell their products at the restaurant. If I wanted some guacamole, somebody needs to come up to me and say, hey, do you want a margarita with it? And those are for me, how Kukuli will be changing the restaurant industry is not to remove waiters. They'll have a different role. They will be playing a different role than just taking orders. They'll be having something more than just taking orders.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
What are you charging for this?
So it's basic. So the small percentage of the subtotal would be 3.9% of the subtotal, which means excluding tax and tip, and a monthly subscription fee of $45.
Sorry, Sarah, did you have another question?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So as a consumer, I think it's a great idea. I think if this product existed, I think I would definitely use it if I go out to dine with friends, etc. My question is around the restaurant side. So it is a fact that, or Harvard Business Review said 70% of restaurants won't open again. Actually, it's pretty bad. But enough restaurants will open that you'll probably still have at least some early adopters. But restaurant owners are often struggling at any given time. They have generally 14 days of runway anyway, right? So understanding now that mindset of the customer persona, they could have a cost of switch. If you're using something like Stripe or Square, for example, they might have to turn it, or if they're just using the traditional card swiping. So what is broken for them that you're fixing is the question. Sorry about the long preface.
Oh, no. Thank you so much. So what is broken is before COVID, it still is, what has still have been since before COVID, is that when you dine out, splitting the bills is it's uncomfortable. And that's the broken thing. And not only that, but when you wanted to order another glass of wine or another bottle of beer, you just have to wait. You always had to get that waiter's attention. And with the original way of payment, it actually takes, you can actually calculate how long it takes. It takes like around 20 minutes. So for the moment someone says, okay, let's get the bill. And until the moment you actually step outside is around like 15 to 20 minutes. And with our app, someone says, hey, let's leave. Let's head out. And then you can just pay. It's like 1 second. Okay, maybe like 5 seconds. So it's enormously, it makes the turnover. It's going to be a quicker turnover of restaurants, especially with the less capacity that the restaurants will be facing. And after COVID, they want quicker turnover. They wanted people to eat and leave and get more customers inside. And that's not really the broken part, but the broken part from the customer side is it takes too much time and it's uncomfortable to split the bills.
Can I ask a logistical question? If people are coming in as a table, say 4 people come in together, is the ordering happening all through one person, or is it happening individually? And then, but they all know they're assigned to a table. Like, how does that work?
So it works both ways. So let's say we're all going out for dinner, then I can be the one who's ordering. Everybody can tell me, hey, I want this, I want that, and I can put it in. Or everybody can put in your individual orders, and it'll just go to the restaurant tablet in the same way. But it's all individualized. So if you put in an order, they know that you ordered. If I put in the order, they will know that I ordered. And at the payment,
everyone has to have the app. Everyone has to have downloaded the app, right?
Yeah. So it's that's idealistic for us that everyone has the app, but they can actually order through the website as well. There's a web page, and it's not functioning yet now, but it will be able to. So if someone's like really don't want the app, they can just go online and order from the website as well.
All right, judges, we're in feedback.
Yeah, my big feedback, I think there's a missed opportunity right now in the deck to talk about what your product actually does. And you did a great job kind of going through and talking about different elements like your go-to-market, the business model, the market opportunity. But I think the missing piece here is, the fact that you offer both a consumer experience as well as, a restaurant-based service. And so I think delving into that, showing some of the screenshots. I mean, I just looked you guys up in the App Store. You have good reviews and you have screenshots there. I think adding that to your deck would be very powerful.
Okay, thank you.
Also, maybe the go-to-market plan. So how you're going to go about selling, to users and to restaurants. It is a chicken and egg thing. Will it be geography by geography? How many restaurants and what kinds of restaurants do you think you'll go after? How does that scale? Are you going to do it through, I would imagine through marketing?
Yes. We're targeting casual to fine dining. And the way we market is through, again, the meetup organizers. Our social dining feature allows people to meet other people. And those are it's like social network. We brought social networking to the dine-in space. And the meetup organizers, they have the total amount of members in those related groups is 20,000 people. And we can reach out to these people. And the food Instagrammers are also one of them. They're all my friends. And we are going to market through restaurants as well. Restaurant will market our app in return for their referral fee. So it's like a extra income. Restaurants will earn extra income from Kukuli from them to market to their customers. That makes sense? Or should I elaborate a little more?
So do you have projections? Are you taking a stab at how big you're going to get within the next, or I might have missed it too. A lot of this goes by quickly.
Yes, I think I read it very fast. So for the next 6 months, we are hoping to reach 200 restaurants and 20,000 active users in the next 6 months. Again, location-wise, obviously I'm in New York based, so I'm starting from New York City. But I already have some restaurants that are reaching out from Virginia and Boston. So we might be able to extend to others nearby East Coast states, but basically we'll be in New York City.
One other question, the 14 restaurants that you've signed so far, have you signed some of those during the COVID era or was it before?
It was before. It was all before. During this, they're handling different things. They have other things to handle, so I didn't even go to approach about this.
Overall, I thought the deck was pretty strong. There are a couple of slides where it's just way too much to read. And this was 4 minutes. So I understand you had to zip through everything. That's usually probably a 10 to 20 minute presentation. But the next 4-month slide, I would just pull out some of this information. It's just, I think you can leave it, as a leave behind for an investor, but it was a lot to kind of digest, or have a pitch where you have more time to go through it. But the second thing is, I'm sure it's a chicken and egg of like, do you bring up COVID or do you not? I personally found it a little tone deaf to not mention it right at the beginning when you're talking about an industry that's been frankly ravaged by what's happening, and life is, at least in my conversations personally, are not returning to normal anytime soon. So I think what you can do though is you can talk about it in the beginning, and you can say that you are actually a solution for the crisis. Like, you may have signed those 14 restaurants, but by your lack of, all the value props that you added when I answered the question of, no menus, like contactless, you can have distance. I think you lead with those things sooner to it, because literally my first question was like, this is COVID, why are we talking about restaurants? So I think you need to assuage some fears somehow earlier on.
I see. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for the advice.
I have 2 feedback points. Anna, do we have time?
So we don't, but I want to give you guys a chance. So
Okay. I'll try to keep this brief. So 2 feedback points. One of them is so about the answering the Q&A. So when you go and pitch to investors, I think what I sensed was when questions were asked, you were trying to prove that there's nothing wrong. Will waiters be affected? No, they won't be affected. They're just irreplaceable. But it's okay, by the way, to answer questions and say, actually, yeah, it can replace maybe one person working. It's totally fine. I think investors want to see that you are self-aware and you understand the red flags of the business. But also, you can also flip it and say, actually, by having fewer staff members, it actually saves money for the restaurant owners, right? So that's just an example.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about this more, so this mindset that when investors ask you questions, they're just curious. They're trying to, dig. It's totally okay to say that, actually, yeah, this is a problem. But then here's how I'm going to solve it. And the second part was, so you mentioned how you have an app, but you'll also build a website and you also give tablets. So as an investor, I don't want to fund super early stage startups that have so much building needs, right? So it sounds a little complicated. And so I think what you want to is, I think it's a matter of storytelling as well, because you clearly have very good reviews on the App Store. But I think what I want to see is focus, right? So what is one thing you're going after, and how are you going to do it really, really well?
I see. Yeah. Thank you so much. It makes,
Sure.
that's very, very valuable feedback. Thank you so much.
all right, guys, we're gonna move on to our next startup.
Thank you, Kopko. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Next we've got Eliza and Isabel with Arnie.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Great. Oh, and is Isabel on there as well?
Yes, she is. Isabel, you're currently muted, just so you know, in case. Yeah. Okay, awesome. All right, guys, when you're ready.
Okay, so I'm Eliza.
And I'm Isabel.
We are the co-founders of Arnie, and Arnie is an automated portfolio builder for the ethical investor. So right now, sustainable impact investing is at an all-time high. Impact investing assets under professional management have increased by almost 40% in just the last 2 years alone. And so the institutional market is clearly getting served, but no one is meeting the needs of the retail investor. Even though 84% of these retail investors want investments that are specifically customized to their values. Problem is, access to this type of customization is very expensive. You need to meet the minimums for a private advisor, which is often around $1 million. So that leaves out 95% of American households who don't meet this threshold, and they hold $14 trillion in aggregate.
So currently there are 3 main avenues for having your investments managed. You can go the traditional wealth management route and get a total investment solution that's diversified, risk appropriate, designed just for you, with sustainability customization. But this is not not very cheap and not convenient or online. You can go the robo-advisor route, which is somewhat a newer solution, and also get a total investment solution that will be cheap and convenient and online. But these don't offer sustainability customization, and at most give you kind of a generic like check the impact box. Then there are some sustainability portfolios that have recently come online, which do offer customization based on your values. And these, again, like the robo-advisors, are cheap, convenient, online, but these tend to just offer US equities. And so this is going to be seen as an add-on to a user's core portfolio, and they're not going to put a lot of capital there. So you can get 2 out of 3 of these things, but no one's offering all 3 except for Arnie. So robo-advisors have taken advantage of a lot of cool new innovations in investment technology. So things like streamlined online account opening, automated portfolio management, trading. We realized we can take it a step further and make full sustainability customization accessible by taking advantage of other innovations like fractional share trading, which means you can own individual stocks directly instead of just funds, even with a pretty small account balance. And other innovations like index optimization means that you can take users' preferences and within seconds determine the ideal weight of every stock in their portfolio. And so each individual portfolio is designed to deliver the expectation of market rate returns. So we're not asking investors to sacrifice their financial goals for their sustainability values. And by supporting direct stock ownership versus just allocating our users' capital to ETFs, we can fully customize their equity allocation, and also users have a clearer view in what they actually own in their portfolio. And we don't impose a blanket definition of sustainability. So users tell us what they care about, and those answers are fed into the index optimization calculation, which generally is going to overweight companies that align with their values and underweight, or in some cases, exclude companies that don't.
So our onboarding process is very simple and streamlined. It gives users a lot of choice, but still keeps it all controlled. And it's not confusing to anyone that's unfamiliar with investing. Users can choose up to 15 sustainability values to build their portfolio around. They answer a very standard risk tolerance questionnaire, and then they end up with a multi-asset class, risk-appropriate, and fully customized portfolio. So why is now the right time? Interest in sustainable and impact investing has increased dramatically, and millennials are particularly enthusiastic, which is great because they hold a lot of money. And not only is there demand for sustainable investing, but trust in online platforms is also on the rise. And recently, robo-advisors have also reported a massive surge in users since the pandemic began, with people focusing less on spending and more on saving, and also recognizing that getting in at market lows presents an awesome investment opportunity. We'll also likely see an increase in demand for these types of platforms in a post-COVID world as more of our daily lives are conducted online.
So we just finished development on our prototype and are beta testing that with potential users now. And we'll be launch ready once we complete integrations with a few third-party service providers, namely the custodian and clearing firm, which our platform's already built to take all those APIs. I know we're out of time, so last slide. In my background as an investment manager, I saw increasing demand for values-aligned portfolios.
And as a creative director, all of my clients were asking for purpose-driven work. I actually have worked with AWS before. So it became clear that consumers wanted to speak with their money, and this is our answer for it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, ladies. Okay, judges.
Who is your, that was great. I'm excited. You can sign me up as a beta tester. Who is your buyer persona?
I'm sorry, our bio persona?
Your buyer. So who are you targeting first to launch with?
Yeah, so we're targeting, sorry, go ahead. Do you want me to take this?
Hard over Zoom. Yeah, so we're targeting, generally the kind of millennial who, like we, showed before, that they have kind of the most trust in online platforms and putting their money in, things like Venmo and everything else online, versus kind of older generations, which more appreciate the kind of personal interaction with a financial advisor and all of that. And millennials are also going to inherit quite a bit of wealth, so that cohort's growing, certainly. So it's kind of the inexperienced investor who has some amount of money to set aside for investing but doesn't know what to do with it. Is not going to go onto a Robinhood and start trading themselves, or an E-Trade or any of that. But they also care about, they have certain values that they want to align their money with. So they maybe don't want to invest in fossil fuels, or they want to make sure they're supporting companies that are improving board diversity, or all these different issues. And so we give them kind of a simple experience to make that happen.
I am actually I am the buyer persona. I was very sustainability focused. That's what my degree was in. I had $10,000 that I wanted to invest, and I asked Isabel how I could do it, and she was like, I can tell you some funds and some companies, but there's actually no way for you at your level to invest sustainably. And I did sort of an audit on my 401k and found out that I was invested in weapons manufacturers, which I very much disagreed with. And so that was sort of, we realized, okay, there's a gap for someone that's like a values-driven saver, investor.
Sorry, second question. So Ellevest just launched an impact investing fund or option, something, I can't remember. So talk to me a little bit about competition. I know they primarily do funds. You all are offering individual stocks, and it seems like your secret sauce, your proprietary way is how you have people select which companies and stock. Is that correct?
Yeah. So a lot of the robo-advisors, Betterment I think Wealthfront offers one, Wealthsimple in Canada, I think offers kind of the SRI, socially responsible investing or ethical investing option. And so that's what I meant, with the sort of check the box, like, I've gone through, I have an Ellevest account and I check the box for having the impact option. And that kind of just swaps some of your ETFs with a generic ESG one, or for Ellevest, I think there's maybe a women-focused mutual fund. And so, that's obviously moving in the right direction, and, like to see that, but it's sort of giving one definition of sustainability for every user. They're just getting the same fund. Whereas, everyone has their own set of values, and these are things that I care about versus someone else might care about more environmental things, and I care more about social issues. And so, to us, given the technology of, you can trade in fractional shares, and you can run an index optimization calculation in a matter of seconds, all these pieces are there to basically build each user their own kind of like custom index fund is essentially what we're giving them for their equity allocation, instead of an existing fund. And then, not only does that offer, customization for, sustainability, but because they own, stocks directly, we can also have more efficient tax loss harvesting versus just, you own an ETF share, you own, 100 different stocks. And so we can tax loss harvest those. So it just makes it a much more, personal portfolio, and we can do a lot more with it.
Great. Thank you.
All right, and judges, let's move to feedback. So if you have questions, incorporate it into your feedback, please.
Yeah, fact. Go ahead, guys. Sorry, good seeing you guys. Great presentation. So I guess my feedback question would be, what is the big vision? And is it becoming something like, Wealthfront or Betterment with the sustainability lens? I think you guys are on to a really important trend, but I will note that I think more of the companies have definitely gone on the institutional investor side as opposed to the retail side. So talking about how you guys can be successful where others have kind of, not gotten that traction on the retail side would be helpful.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are certainly, companies that kind of use the same strategy and service, those who are going through a financial advisor or kind of the more institutional side. Like I know Personal Capital offers this for account balances of, upwards of $200,000, which is obviously not a threshold that a lot of people can reach. And so we want our solution to, we're targeting the users who would go to a Betterment or a Wealthfront to get, here's my money, tell me what to do with it, invest it, like just give me a, rebalance it automatically. And so because, the portfolios are designed with, thresholds on tracking error and kind of assuming you're going to get, market rate returns going forward, we're targeting their entire portfolio, not just what's your, sustainability. I want to give 5% to philanthropy or sustainability this year. We think you can take your entire portfolio and you can, mission align that and align it with your values. So we would target a user who would maybe go to Betterment, but they're like, oh wait, there's Arnie, which I can get that service of a diversified portfolio that'll manage my wealth for me, but also they're going to align it with my sustainability values. So I'd choose that one. And so that's kind of how we're targeting the sort of retail investor.
Cool, thanks.
My feedback is I actually think you have such a powerful personal story. And I think your presentation could be so powerful if you started literally, by saying that, hey, I wanted to invest 10K and I don't meet that threshold, but I could totally be investing. And then you can, start with a slide with a big number that there are so many people like me. This is how I define this ideal customer persona or a consumer persona. But I think starting with your story, and you both speak with so much passion and expertise. And so I think what was on your second last slide should be on your first slide, sort of, and starting with that story and then transitioning to what's the big vision. And I really like how you explain, Isabel, that this is not just targeting that 5%. I mean, that you're focusing on sustainability and mission alignment, that's so huge right now. So that can really make you stand out in terms of branding against the existing competition.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's helpful.
1 minute, guys. 1 minute left, guys. Sorry.
I was on mute, so sorry. I just started talking. It is a really huge trend right now. And you might have said this. Actually, this was, you guys flew through this presentation. There was a lot of information to convey. So sometimes we were talking really quickly, and I didn't catch everything you said in the presentation. I looked at it before though. But what I think you also have an opportunity to tell is that there is a performance story that correlates with sustainability. I think most people really care about sustainability, but they also really care about the return. So they want to know that there's actually a payback that goes with it, a win-win. And I think that maybe that could have been dialed up.
Right. This was sort of, there's a reason.
Yeah, that was a very good.
Is because it's a very dense slide.
Yeah, on the right there. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of studies that have looked at. You basically get market rate returns, but with a lot less volatility. So it's basically a better risk adjusted.
Yeah, and normally you probably have a lot more time to give this slide, but all of the type is very small and it's hard to pick up.
It's a busy slide, but it's helpful feedback.
But even something that's charted that shows it visually.
Definitely.
And I'm happy to sign up as a beta tester as well. So let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. We're gonna move on to our next startup. Okay. So next, okay, hold on. Actually, let's stop sharing that. All right, cool. So next we've got Bry and Jennifer.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
And we've got Jen here as well. So I'm Bry. Is Jen there?
Yes.
Good to see you. Oh, hi, Jen.
Yeah, here I am. Sorry, on mute. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Right, I'm just going to share screen. Great. Right, here we go. Everyone see okay?
Yep.
Lovely. Okay. So, Jack and Bry, we got started out of a problem. And what's the problem? So, well, mass animal farming is having a detrimental effect on us, the environment and disease control. And there's an oversupply of soy and gluten, which is an allergen. But we can resolve this using jackfruit with its meat-like qualities.
So the food industry is changing and we are going after some big markets. Many well-known food corporations want to be meat-free within 10 years, so by 2030. We're attracting meat eaters who are looking for plant-based meats that are more natural and less processed than other meat alternatives. And we're targeting the big pizza industry with our jackfruit pepperoni.
So we're disrupting the meat industry with our tastiest plant-based meats, all made out of jackfruit. We're using science and technology to unlock our jackfruit's capabilities. We are the global leaders in jackfruit product development. And we're here to help our customers win with jackfruit meat. And here's just a flavor of the products we do: jackfruit pepperoni, chorizo, beef pieces, sausages, and burgers. As you can see, jackfruit is incredibly versatile. Some people say, why jackfruit? Well, 70% of all jackfruit is actually left unused, so there's a big supply. Jackfruit is a tree and it's very climate savvy. Jackfruit is high in fiber as well, so it's lots of nutrients, and it's allergen free. And jackfruit grows on trees all around the world.
So we're set to launch in both Ocado, which is the UK's biggest online supermarkets, and also Tesco, which is also the UK's biggest traditional supermarket with 4,000 sites in both frozen and chilled packs. And for the other food channels, we're focused on ingredients going into pizza delivery chains, other restaurants that are doing home delivery, and ingredients going into manufacturing for frozen pizzas and other ready meals. And we have pivoted during this time going after food service, which is your traditional restaurants where people go to the restaurant to have a great time and eat. But just to touch on that, we had a very strong supply chain in place, and that remains fluid and resilient the whole way. So we're very fortunate to all our partners and really grateful for this position. Our largest customer, Papa John's, is also home delivery focused. So they remained open and then saw uplifts in their sales. So again, we were okay and also grateful. So just in terms of Papa John's, we've had huge success with them. We launched in January this year. We're on all 4 pizzas and in 450 sites. We increased their vegan sales by 120%. And because of that, they're really energized and supporting us to, they're taking us into the other markets. We're launching in the Netherlands next month for 30 sites, and then Germany, rest of Europe, and then the USA. So science and technology is really the heart of everything that we do. We look at not only the nutritional qualities of our end products, but also the whole supply chain as well. Our first project is actually based on the nutritional side and enhancing the nutrition that we have already. That's working with 2 UK universities who are collaborating with us. This will be first to market, and also we'll have a patent protected.
So our expansion plans, we are launched in the UK already, but we're expanding even further in the UK and US as a food service ingredient. So that will be a jackfruit pepperoni on a pizza topping. And we're also launching into retail to have brand presence in UK and US. And we've got an amazing projection of 8 to 10 million over the next year, and we aim to smash that. So our selling points. So our primary and hero product is pepperoni. We didn't start off with burgers or sausages. We saw a gap in the market for pizza toppings to start off with. Our products are actually tasty. It's made from jackfruit. We are a food tech business. We have global ambition to be the jackfruit leaders in plant-based meats. And there's abundant supply of jackfruit all over around the world. Our products are allergen free. So we use jackfruit that grows on trees, and jackfruit creates our meat. So we basically make meat and oxygen. So we're raising our seed round for $1 million. We've already have a lead investor, and our original investor is also investing back in it again. So we're looking for 800,000 to complete. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Bri, Jenny, and Jennifer, sorry for that. Judges?
I love this and I'm dying to taste it. And I've had jackfruit before. It is amazingly like meat. I'm just curious to know like what the manufacturing facilities are like, the cost that's involved in getting this up and off the ground. What kind of volume do you need to hit to reach profitability?
Right, I'll touch on the supply chain if you like. So our supply chain is actually quite simple. We work with a fruit processor in Southeast Asia who has got the highest accreditation that we need to then sell on value add in the UK. They are in the centre of all the jackfruit farms. They bring in all the jackfruit, process it to our specific requirements. They then sea ship it to the UK, and then it goes straight to our manufacturing facility is fully vegan and also allergen free. We have massive space there to grow into, and they also have land to build more as well. The jackfruit is actually stored there. They make the product, they store the finished product, and then they ship it to our customer.
In terms of profit margin, we have moved to a new co-manufacturer because we've scaled up so significantly with the interest, and we're looking at a 33% profit margin. With our investment and our growth, we aim to drive profit through between September and December this year.
Great presentation, guys, and I'm impressed by the logos that you had on the screen at such an early stage. Can you talk a little bit more about the traction, how long the sales cycle is, and what you think? You have a pretty ambitious target that you aim to exceed. How realistic is that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really excited because we work with, there's lots of food service ingredient companies that we've, obviously you can see, have been in touch with. And really we're looking at different launch periods. So for the UK, especially, it's September launch for not only retail and food service, but also January and March next year. And so we really see those as where we ramp up in the sales. And really for us at the moment, the investment is not only in obviously meeting those orders, but also growing in growing our brand, our IP and our tech, and just growing that to meet the orders. So for us, we see ourselves as always working on our supply chain to get the best in terms of payment terms, so that we can actually see ourselves as a cash-rich business for the longevity.
We've also got some older food industry veterans on board. We've got connections at the top level for fast food, major supermarkets, and pizza chains.
Are your primary customers today? Maybe you need to go back to the customer slide. Are your primary customers wholesale or B2B?
Yes,
and
B2B.
Do you have any minimums in terms of the relationship you have? What you would expect annually?
Oopsies, hold on. I'll show this script share. So at the moment we are primarily a B2B. But we don't just want to be that. So we see it for the UK, we see it 60% retail, because we're looking to get into 2 major supermarkets within the year. And then the rest of it, 40% is food service, and that'll be ingredient, for instance, ready meal. So our beef pieces in a ready meal, that sort of thing. And in America, we see it as 50-50. So retail, branded, and also 50% as an ingredient to products. For instance, frozen pizzas, pizza toppings. So for one of the biggest manufacturers in the world, basically.
All right, judges, we're moving into feedback. So if you have questions, incorporate it into your feedback, please.
Oh,
go ahead, Charu.
I thought this was a great presentation, and I had questions around the venture backability, but I think that got answered. So no questions there. And again, love the focus, love the depth. You're clearly a very strong team and are just very, very focused. That's very impressive. You might have mentioned this, but I'm curious, why are you working on this? So what's your personal story and your personal mission?
Yeah, so it all just stemmed in the fact that I wanted to make a process light product. Everything out there was very much soy and pea protein based. And for me, I'm plant-based, but my family are meat eaters. And I wanted to find the tastiest plant-based product out there that can actually showcase that, you know, we don't have to eat meat all the time. And jackfruit was the best product out there, or best base for me to work with because of its fibrous nature.
I think your presentation was very tight, but I think it can be icing on the cake if you also include your personal story.
Okay, yeah, great.
I totally agree. I didn't have any questions because you answered so many of them. So like, you've focused on one thing, you've solved a problem, you're seeing traction in it. You know, keep doing that to get to scale on some of these other ideas and partnerships. You know, I'd say congrats on the you know, upcoming contracts with expansion with Papa John's. I do think the personal story at the beginning can bring, it's already pretty well, a really well-spoken deck. And so that just extra bit of passion, or placing someone, you know, eating a pizza or something, something like that, right? Or I loved what you said about, you had a line about we're using less meat and we're giving the planet oxygen. Like a little bit more of a pull in for the audience of, you know, this is what you get for doing this, because the market is there. Yeah, I'm excited for you guys. This is come to the US. This is great.
Thank
and
you.
I realized I'm actually pretty good friends with the wife of a pretty big food tech investor. So send me your deck, maybe through Anna, we can exchange emails or something. But yeah, send me your deck. I'll forward to him.
Thank you so much. That'd be
Of
really
course.
great.
I'll just echo what the others have said. This is a really exciting presentation. You did such a good job with your branding throughout. I'm not sure, did you show us a picture of the packaging for consumers? Because
we're actually going through a rebrand at the moment, and as much as I'd like to, we were originally green, but we haven't confirmed that yet. It's really only in the next 2 weeks that we're confirming it, which is quite exciting. And so I want to, you know, hopefully excite you in the next 2 weeks when we relaunch our packaging look, as it were.
Yeah. And one thing investors get excited about too is what your proxies are, you know, what the valuation of a Beyond Meat, like you could really punch that. And I agree with you that a lot of these products are over processed. So to the extent that you've got that advantage, I think that's a big one, especially for people who gravitate toward plant-based.
Yeah, I mean, that you've got the Beyond Meat and the Impossible Foods, which are pea and soy, and there's no real jackfruit leaders out there. And so we see ourselves as the global leaders of jackfruit plant-based meats.
Yeah, really good.
All right, Bri and Jennifer, thank you so much. We are moving on to our next startup.
Great.
All right, and it is Evan Golub with Wana. Okay, Evan, whenever you're ready. And you are currently on mute. Or muted. Yeah,
Hi guys, I'm Evan. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Wana. And my co-founder is Nicole Krinick. She's sorry that she couldn't be here tonight, so I'm filling in.
Oh, your slide is not showing.
Oh, let me just speak for
about okay.
And then I'll get to the deck. Let me spend 30 seconds telling you why we're building Wana. Nicole and I are both chronically sick. I was misdiagnosed for more than 4 years across 30 practitioners. It wasn't until we both saw an integrative functional medicine doctor that we were both properly diagnosed with Lyme disease as well as mold illness. That was 3 years ago. We have spent the last 3 years helping each other get better. And then after biohacking our ways back to health, we built a community of what became more than 100 different people with Lyme disease who we helped through their battles. And while doing so, we just kind of turned to each other and said, why is there no user-generated content platform that is specifically designed and architected for health? And so that leads me to Wana. So Wana stands for We Are Not Alone, because everyone facing a chronic condition feels like they're battling this all by themselves. When we think about the attainable market, it's a large TAM. We have over 150 million Americans living with more than one chronic illness. And now in light of COVID, you can argue that nearly everyone is focused on their health. The problem is these people with chronic and mysterious symptoms are really left feeling alone and completely helpless. They've been failed by conventional medicine the same way Nicole and I were. And 80% of these people are really looking for others to talk to who've been through what they've been through and for support. And so they're turning to the internet and using platforms, existing platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Reddit, which we're also familiar with and big fans of. But these platforms, information is really disorganized and they weren't really designed and architected to collect health information and then present it back to the user and provide a very personalized experience. And so we're building the solution, which is the social network for health. We're combining support, community, education, and a marketplace. When it comes to structured health data, we're collecting more health insights than any of our competition out there. We've collected more than 2 million health data points across 6,000 users. We've had 45,000 messages sent between users since launch. We've collected on average over 16 symptoms, 3 diagnoses, and more than 5 treatments per user. We're currently spread across 4,000 zip codes in the US. When we think about user retention, 1 week out, we look across 2 cohorts of people, all users and then active users. 1 week out, we're at around 80%. 6 weeks out, we're between 50 and 60%. And 12 weeks out, we're between 40 and 50%. Users by age and looking at our demographics, we're attracting a younger audience. 80% of our audience is between 18 and 35 and very much female. A lot of the conditions we're focused on, including endometriosis and PCOS, are female-based conditions. When we think about structured data, we're collecting through an 11-step customized onboarding process. We're collecting people's diagnoses, their symptoms, and also what treatments they're trying. This is our onboarding funnel and how we think about acquisition. Our CAC cost has continuously just come down month over month since launch. We have an 81% conversion rate between email capture and completed profile, and that's 11 steps where we're asking you obviously very personal information. So really high intent on the user side. When we think about monetization, we're building out a marketplace of products, services, and practitioners, which I'll get into in a second. We're going to be getting into patient recruiting, and we've partnered with 2 companies in that space. We're building out a practitioner network of alternative practitioners who we're partnering with. We're getting into data sales, well, down the road, but we're starting to partner with buyers of data. Already up, sorry. Premium subscription, and then the ability to get into telemedicine because a lot of our users are asking to see practitioners digitally. These are some of the visuals and designs of our app. We have practitioners, brands, and products. We're building out practitioner profiles now. Data sales, we've partnered with Komodo Health. We've also partnered with TrialScope when it comes to patient recruiting for clinical trials and matching them up with trial sponsors. Some of our testimonies, our team, my partner is Nicole Krinick. As I mentioned earlier, she's head of marketing and vision. George is our CTO, is incredibly talented engineer. We have our director of operations who came from the consulting world, Billy. Hannah's our community manager. We have a product and design consultant, as well as our medical experts. We have 8 of them. 2 of them we didn't have the creative assets for, but these span from Western medicine to integrative medicine to Eastern medicine practitioners who revise and review all of the content. And we're raising $1.25 million to fund the next 18 months of growth. And that's a little bit about WANA. Sorry, I went over.
This is great. I've worked at both healthcare companies and LinkedIn, so social network. And I think your thought process and approach is very mature, thinking about monetization, but also maintaining focus right now. So when I look at pitches to invest, one question is this the right idea, market, and so, that's a check. But the second question I have, which is possibly even more important because ideas pivot, is why is this the best team to build it, right? So can you talk to me a little bit more about the leverage you have and the expertise that you have that makes you the best team to work on something like this?
Yeah, it's a great question. Nicole and I have been through the battle of chronic illness and finding functional medicine doctors, acupuncturists, taking all sorts of supplements, herbs, and all of the things that people are really now focused on in order to advance their health and their immune systems, especially in light of COVID. People are now taking immune boosting supplements, and they're really worried about their diet and their lifestyle, and they're practicing yoga and doing all of these things. The problem is there's really no centralized sort of platform that encompasses all of this. But we have been through the battle. I was failed by Western and conventional medicine for more than 4 years, and have now built a network organically of hundreds of people now who we've helped. And so we're basically doing what we were doing in real life, but we're packaging it in an app. Yeah, the two of us have been through this, and then we've partnered with a CTO who brings obviously the tech, the engineering and product experience, and has built more than 25 products and is really talented.
I think this is a good answer, and you clearly have the mission and a strong purpose. But I think what I would also like to hear, or an investor might want to hear, is, well, the business side, because to build a marketplace is very tough, right? So you need somebody, whether an advisor or a team member, who has experience or skills in that market building and that growth, right? So because if you say, you know, hundreds of people, hundreds is not enough, right? So you need somebody who can get millions of users. I think if you can show some leverage there, and some sort of a moat, because you do have network effects built into your product. So I think if you could talk a little more about that. You don't have to answer this now, but maybe think more about it.
Yeah, thank you.
Is this an advertising supported business model, or there must be sort of other revenue streams as well, but I'm kind of assuming that advertising is one of them.
Yeah, advertising is really coming through what we're calling the marketplace. So it's really brand partnerships. We're aligning ourselves with what we consider to be some of the best wellness brands that have helped us through our journeys. They've also helped our users through their journeys. So we take suggestions from our users and then put them through a very formalized review process. And so that's part of monetization. I think I touched briefly on data sales. So we're collecting what we've been told by one of the largest buyers of health data, what is some of the most detailed health data, especially when it comes to like rare conditions. And so that is a huge avenue. And then patient recruiting, I think I touched on. So really matching patients with trial sponsors, which is a very broken market. You know, it's a multi-billion dollar, I think it's a $40 billion a year market, where CROs are basically hired by pharma companies to go out and recruit patients. But it's a very dated sort of model. Their CAC costs are between $500 and $1,000, I think, between, you know, depending on the condition. And so we're bringing users into the top of the funnel for sort of much cheaper. And they're coming for community and information, and then learning about products, and then also learning about trials, which information is very disorganized amongst clinical trials. And so we're going to be centralizing and organizing all of that data, so it's easily digestible.
Guys, I hope this is okay for me to mention. Julie has to leave very soon. Are you guys okay with us moving on to the next pitch and then maybe coming back to Evan? Okay, cool. Let's do that so Julie gets a chance to see our last. So Evan, we will come back to you, okay?
Thanks,
yeah.
guys.
Yeah, okay, so lastly, we've got Christina York of Spellbound. All right.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Can you see my screen?
No, it's not currently shared.
Let me try again.
Awesome. Yeah.
Good?
Yep.
All right. I'm Christina York, founder and CEO of Spellbound. There we go. When patients don't cooperate with medical treatment, cost of care can skyrocket. and patient outcomes are negatively impacted. Now, non-cooperation can look like a lot of different things, not following doctor's directives, but for a child, it can simply mean not holding still. When my daughter was 3, she put something in her ear and we had to take her to the ER to get it out. Because she was scared and wouldn't hold still, they first used physical restraints, strapping her to a wooden board with Velcro. They tried holding her down with nurses and techs. And then when that didn't work, they put her under general anesthesia in the OR, just so that they could safely use tweezers on her ear. Now, this was one small example, but things like this happen to children every day during medical treatment. Spellbound uses immersive augmented reality technology to transform the patient experience and increase patient cooperation. We add 3D interactive experiences to the hospital environment using our patent protected software and mobile devices, the mobile devices that hospitals and families already own, like smartphones and tablets. So it's like Pokemon Go. You hold the smartphone or tablet up to a piece of artwork in the hospital, one of our wall decals, or small collector's cards they might hold, and it reveals interactive experiences. These can help improve the patient cooperation in 3 ways. The hospitals use it for pain management. They use it to create simulations for patient education so patients can understand what's going to happen and be more likely to cooperate. And we digitally transform physical spaces in the hospital to encourage rehabilitative movement, like getting up and walking after surgery. We have Spellbound is being used. We have customers in hospitals across the country, not just in children's hospitals like Stanford Children's Hospital, but in large hospitals like one of the biggest hospitals in the country, New York Presbyterian, and in specialty hospitals like MD Anderson Cancer Center. We sell an annual subscription to hospitals. They pay up front. We generally enter in a land and expand strategy. We enter in one department, they use it, they get familiar with augmented reality, get some success stories, and then we upsell, cross-sell to other departments. We've mostly focused on last year on land, but we are working on starting to expand some of those deals. And we did this year with New York Presbyterian and upsold through the Chief of Pediatrics for a 3-year deal. Right now, healthcare seems to be turned on its head, but we've found a huge opportunity for technology that not only improves patient care, but does not require additional staff utilization. So in the last month, we've made 3 new sales to Comer Children's at the University of Chicago, MD Anderson, and University of Michigan. As well, we've signed a channel partner, SmileMakers, a Berkshire Hathaway company who's been in the patient experience business for 50 years. They have 3,000 hospitals as customers and tens of thousands of private practice and community clinics. We were also this month awarded a $1.8 million NIH grant to study how our augmented reality can reduce opioid use and length of stay for post-surgical cancer patients. And these are our research partners. Right now, we're serving pediatrics because they're a difficult population to solve. The plan is to serve all populations across the hospital, also to serve adjacent markets to hospitals like home health care or private practice, and eventually to enter the global market because much of our augmented reality does not rely on language. Our vision is to be the 3D platform for healthcare. We are researchers that have PhDs. We are startup veterans who've had unicorn exits, and we are parents and sufferers of chronic conditions. We are spellbound, and these are spellbound patients actually using the product, whether they're recovering from a brain aneurysm on the left, prepping, being distracted during preparation for a procedure in the middle, or simply holding still through 7 inoculations on the right. We are spellbound and we are transforming patient experience. Thank you.
Judges.
Wow. I have 2 little girls, 4.5 and 1.5, and the older one just got ear tube surgery, which is her first major procedure on Friday. So you have caught me at an emotional moment. She was actually a total champ, but they had a child life specialist come in, yes. Which we all know are few and far between in hospitals. And so to be able to basically amplify their work, and this is really cool. I'm not even sure I have a question. I'm spellbound, and I great pitch. You have some really nice early wins. Actually, one question: are you focusing on what has been the department you end up starting with for your land and expand?
Child life.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, I thought so.
You knew that and said it. So in terms of budget, it's the worst department to start it with.
Exactly, totally.
They're underfunded, understaffed, but they work across the entire hospital.
Yep.
And they are desperate for tools. Like they blow bubbles. They need technology.
Right. Yeah.
So entering through that, we typically enter through there, and then like for you with University of Michigan, from there we expanded to radiology, pediatric oncology, and now we're working a deal with cardiology. So they have really exposed us to the bigger budget. So for us, it's the long-term play. Like get in the door, even if it's for a tiny amount, and then continue to upsell and just extend that lifetime value of that customer.
Very cool.
Do you have a build story to tell in terms of like the number of patients that you've affected so far and how it's growing? I mean, that's one thing. And just like the looks on their faces are really tell a story that this is doing its job. I'd like to see the other side. I'd like to see like what the experience is or what they've, what they're looking at. But then it feels like there are testimonials out there that really validate.
I think so. In terms of numbers, I don't have an exact number. We have roughly 10,000 patients affected every month from those numbers. Now that's individual sessions, and sometimes a patient has more than one session during a month. So we'll say 10,000 sessions a month. Some hospitals are bigger than others. We have a tiny hospital in Texas, and they usually use it to calm patients during transport. But then with New York Presbyterian, it's the second largest hospital in the country. They see a lot of patients. This picture I'm showing you is our MRI simulator. It's actually a child at the University of Michigan Hospital who is giving a kitty cat an MRI so that he could hear the sounds and press the buttons and play doctor. Give a child the semblance of control, but prepare them for that procedure, because for children under the age of 10, 80% of them have to be sedated or anesthetized for simple diagnostic scans. And it increases the cost of that scan 10x and also risk to the child. So if we can just eliminate that by providing these interactive, almost gamifying the hospital experience, then that's a win for the hospital, a win for the patients, and a win for us.
It might, to Sarah's point, it might be good to just take one of those customers, right, and put some numbers around it and say, Stanford has had 5,000 monthly views, and so we've helped them save $25 million or whatever that is. That would, I think, drive it home for a pretty compelling story.
A lot of our research is getting to quantifying. We're trying to get to value-based pricing. And so that research, if we can say we reduce the average length of stay after surgery by half a day and, increase ambulation by X and reduce opioid consumption by Y, like those give us hard numbers. But a lot of our stuff is anecdotal because we went to market fast without clinical evidence.
I'm curious what's happened in the COVID-19 world for you. I know that restaurants is one category that's been really negatively affected. Medical is another one. And I know a lot of these hospitals are just, losing a lot of money, and their budgets have probably been impacted. Have you run into that? Have you been able to close anything in the COVID-19 era?
Yes, we have closed 3 hospitals since COVID started. Two of them are upsells, I'll tell you, and one is a brand new customer. MD Anderson's brand new. We're not serving COVID patients, but the ripple on effect is that because hospitals are under lockdown, isolation protocols are in place, patients don't get visitors, and they're not allowed to leave their room. So patients with chronic conditions or recovering after surgery, this is a risk to them. If they're not moving, they're at risk for like pneumonia and sepsis, things like that. And what the hospitals started finding is that now that they're stuck in their room, they're getting depressed, they're just laying in bed all day. It's requiring a lot of nursing effort to try to get them moving and monitor the movement. And so some of we assumed during COVID that there'd be a lockdown on budget. And that's true for many hospitals, but other ones are seeking solutions that will get the patients up and walking like our digital scavenger hunt in their rooms, reducing risk, getting better, improving the outcomes, letting it be self-directed. So our software doesn't require any staff utilization. It doesn't require a nurse to be watching them or using it. They can use it on the tablet that's in the patient room or on mom's iPhone. And so that's why we've seen more momentum during COVID, because it's just a new opportunity to repurpose our existing products because the outcomes are the same.
So this is absolutely great. I have one suggestion and then two questions. So the suggestion is you have a very strong team, and maybe pulling the slide towards the beginning somewhere. I don't know where, but I think it's just very impressive when you hear the credentials of your team. There's a lot of relevance to the problem you're trying to solve. The two questions are, so one, my background is in enterprise, and some sales cycles can be really long. And what is your sales cycle like? And then the second question is about the patent you mentioned. So what is the patent, and how does it stop someone else from trying to do something similar?
Our sales cycle is 104.5 days. I do the majority of the sales. We just hired a salesperson today, in fact, so hopefully we'll be scaling up with that. It's because of our land and expand, because we enter often with a price point that's below the signing ability. You don't have to elevate it up to the next person. So small hospitals might pay $5,000 a year for that first one digital card, or $20,000 a year. And though getting foot in the door is very fast when you do it that way. And then we can upsell. So with Stanford, we entered the door for $4,000 a year. It's like one of our first customers. And then within 45 days, we had upsold through the CIO for $30,000. And like, if you look at the number of departments that are in a hospital, we can start having a network effect. So we really need to build up our sales team and customer success and focus on that. You asked about the patent. We have 2 patents that have been awarded. They're both utility patents for our software. They're actually quite robust. The first one has 36 claims. The second one has 27 claims. So bigger than the average patent, I'd say. They cover unique ways that we create augmented reality and deliver it for efficiency, particularly in the health. It's needed in the healthcare sector. So performance-wise, how we collect data, behavioral data around interactions with the software, and then leverage that to create insights for those clinicians. As well, we've had some inventions around like scalable augmented reality, allowing the user to change it on the fly without using ARCore and ARKit. So we have several inventions around data, delivery, and efficiency of the augmented reality, which were really important because of the market we were in.
Just quick feedback for me before I jump, but I wanted to say that was a really powerful presentation. I loved your personal story. That really resonated and jumped out. Also, the traction that you've had is really impressive. To Chara's point, I think the sales cycle with these things can be really prohibitive sometimes. And the fact that you've made progress with 12 is very impressive, and during COVID. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie.
And Julie, before you run, can you please say something to Evan so that we can, and then,
Yeah, Evan, I apologize that we had to cut yours a little short, but it was really powerful. I honestly, I have a good friend with chronic fatigue syndrome, so it really resonated with me in a big way. I think what you're building is very interesting. And the one thing that I would love to get more expansion on through the presentation is just what the product offers, because you are building that marketplace, you have the branding, you have the connections. And so exactly what you guys are doing and how the product works, I think would be helpful for me. But I really enjoyed hearing about it, and I think it serves a vastly underserved market. So thank you for that.
Okay, yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Julie. Have a great night.
Thank you, guys. You too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to give Christina, or I'm going to give the judges 1 minute to give feedback to Christina, and we'll switch over to Evan a few minutes for him as well. Okay.
No feedback really, Christina. Very impressive. And if you ever want to get on a call, if I can help brainstorm on the enterprise sales and customer success, let me know. Happy to. I think this is awesome.
Thank you, Jarrell.
Likewise, I think that you told the story very well. I would say, you know, that your beginning story about your own personal experience is powerful, and I'd like to have the same story about somebody who, you know, was in a traumatic situation and this, you know, turned them or calmed them in a situation. That's clearly, you know, what the case is, and these pictures do tell the story as well. But no, I think
Actually,
it's great. And congratulations on the grant too. That's a big leg up for you. And it's an advantage to any investor who comes in as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely, it's huge.
thank you.
Actually, one quick suggestion, and you did mention it in the Q&A, but I think you could also mention it proactively in the story, how during COVID, you actually have an adjacent business opportunity present itself. So I think that could be powerful.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else from the judges? Okay, awesome. Then we're going to switch quickly over to Evan before we conclude our event. And thank you so much, Christina.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Best of luck.
Okay. Evan. All right, guys, as he joins us, okay, a few minutes for feedback.
Evan, one question for you. How are you making sure that kind of wackadoodle, for lack of a better term, ideas aren't permeating the platform? And I say that having some experience in this area, personal and friends, but I think that's right. That's really important. And so how are you vetting suggestions or people sharing ideas to get healthy and things like that?
It's a great question. So we have community guidelines, but then we also have a community manager who monitors every single post and message in real time. And if anything is questionable or at least dangerous, it is immediately removed. We typically direct message the user who posted it, the author, and sort of notify them why their content was removed, whether it was triggering or it was just false information. And so we've actually been told by our users that our community response and management is just incredibly impressive. We had one male user who was sort of sending DMs to women, and 3 of them reported him and he was removed immediately. And they all sort of responded back to our community manager. This is so much more actively.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you because I think I asked the question the wrong way.
Oh.
Which all of that is great and that's important. I think what I meant was you and your co-founder spent 3 years getting healthy, right? And that means you tried a lot of different things, but like some of those things you tried may have been on like the bleeding edge of, I don't know, some other person's version of a sane process or whatever. And so how do you, I love the idea of getting alternative medicine ideas and practitioners and folks together and really an integrated health platform. But from that perspective, how do you vet and verify that like whatever the president is saying about COVID and drinking, whatever that thing is. Yeah, like stuff like that.
Sorry, I thought you meant the user generated.
I know. And that's great. I'm a former community manager. That's super important. So great.
So the actual content that's produced by WANA is written up by, we hired the former editor-in-chief from Everyday Health, and she brought over a content team that's consulting for us. And then all of their content, so they've collectively, I think I had like 40 or 50 years in the business. All of their content is reviewed by our 8 medical practitioners.
Okay.
And so nothing goes out that is not reviewed by a professional or multiple professionessionals. So we do have some treatments that are not backed by science. We are the first to say there is no science, there's no double-blind study for bee venom therapy. However, anecdotally, people within the Lyme community have found bee venom to be helpful in fighting off their symptoms and things like that. And and then we'll give, we also cite like top books, podcasts, and YouTube videos, and everything is referenced as well. So Amy O'Connor, who was the editor-in-chief at Everyday Health, just has a very, very, very formal process of putting out.
Great. Okay. I'd also, just putting on my worst case disaster hat, have a good legal team. Thinking of our first pitch of like how much, you know, platforms and content managers are getting involved in lawsuits if something happens, and God forbid someone follows a suggestion that's not science bound and they found out about it on your platform. So I would just make sure that you all are safeguarded against that.
Yep. Thank you.
I would also, along those same lines, I'm sure that you're in tune with the privacy laws and what kind of data can and can't be gathered. But that's another area of caution. I would say that it's changing regularly too.
Oh, for sure. Just a quick tidbit on that. Our CTO is the CTO at a cybersecurity healthcare company and is very familiar with HIPAA compliance and GDPR. And we've got 3 different law firms reviewing our terms and conditions, our privacy policy. We have an insurance policy, which is pretty rare, kind of this early in the life cycle. So we're trying to cross all our T's and dot our I's for sure. Thank you.
I was wondering what your focus is. So for example, in the next 3 months, what are the big product or just business goals? What's your focus?
Or the big conditions maybe too.
Yeah, good questions. So the focus for the last few months and for the foreseeable few months is really on the product. I feel like we've gotten it out to enough users where now we need to just improve the product, and then we can focus on scaling. And so we brought in this product consultant. She's at Microsoft and she's been fantastic. And since we brought her on board a few months ago, we've just made little tweaks. I call it like version 1.2, I guess you could say. And we saw our retention just literally tick up every single week. 8 weeks out, I think we're at 15 or 20%, and it just ticked up to, I think it's 55% now, consistently. And so, yeah, we're focused on a lot of product improvements. We just deployed to Android last week. And so our CTO spent the last 6 weeks building that in a new language called Flutter. And so now we just moved iOS over to the new language, and now he could deploy to iOS and Android at the same time. We're starting to build out, we just built out liking. And so now we're going to start building out like the idea of karma points or creating some sort of social ranking for people who've been helping others, and starting to sort of, I don't want to say gamify that a little bit, but giving people credit, maybe potentially making them ambassadors or giving out badges within their conditions and communities. And I think the other question was, what are our main communities or conditions? Our most common or top diagnosis is actually depression, which I was not expecting. So we do have a lot of mental illness, but Lyme, fibromyalgia, endometriosis, PCOS, POTS. Yeah, it's really across the board. And I know this sounds kind of weird, but a lot of these conditions actually have overlapping, sort of do overlap. And they also have overlapping comorbidities. So we have people who join who have Lyme, and then they also find out that they have chronic inflammatory response syndrome, which is mold sickness, which again commonly overlaps in that community. And they're like dumbfounded when they figure this out from the community. It is wild. We've had a large number of users just be like, oh my God, I never thought the mold condition in my apartment had anything to do with my symptoms. And just from people talking to each other on the platform, people are coming up with really, really powerful takeaways that your general practitioner just probably isn't going to help you with, if that makes sense.
I think a couple of those anecdotes and stories would be really powerful to include somewhere as you gather them, or again, some of the, like, that's the impact, right? That's truly what the problem you're solving is. So bringing that forward a little bit more would be fantastic as you gather them.
Great point.
One quick feedback. So I really liked that you had thought the future plans, the big future vision and different ways of monetization. So that was impressive. But I think it would help to succinctly articulate the focus as well for the immediate future, right? Like these are the milestones we're focused on. So for example, retention, or whatever it is, because especially at an early stage, especially when you talk to investors, the capital efficiency is so important, right? So I don't want to invest in a company, for example, who is trying to build, I don't know, 3 different things, right? So really highlighting what is one thing you want to do really well, especially with the, I think, 1.5 million that you want to raise.
Great point.
All right, guys. Okay, so now actually, I think that pretty much concludes our event. I'm going to bring everyone else that's remaining back on. We're going to take a group picture, and that will be the end of this event. So hold on one second. Let's do this.
This is a pretty well curated group. Good job, Anna.
Yeah, bravo.
Thank you. All right, hold on one second. Christina, Yukako. Oh, not letting me add her. There we go. Jennifer. Ooh. Yeah, I should do this at the beginning of the event. That way we could get everyone. So that's one lesson learned today for me. Okay, so I think we've got everyone who is present for the panelists. And okay, I'm gonna say 1, 2, and on 3rd, okay? 1, 2, 3. Oh, shoot, hold on a second.
I think you're on mute, Anna.
She meant to be, I think.
Oh.
Here's Dan, by the way. Well, oh, maybe he's not gonna, he's the other half of his team while we're doing the events. All right. There's one of the keys are not working at this great time.
I can take a screenshot. And
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, one of you guys.
Yep. Maybe 2 of us can do it so we can send her multiple versions.
Yes, please do it.
Okay.
All right, everyone smile and do it.
Cool. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Awesome. Okay, so one of you guys have it. Please send it to me so that we can I'll post it on LinkedIn or whatever. All right. Thank you so much. And we actually, there's someone from the audience also who said, really, oh, actually, it's one of you guys. Okay. So I think everyone enjoyed the event. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, judges. Thank you, presenters. Thank you to the audience who's silently there. Everyone have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great early Memorial Day weekend as well. Okay. Good night to you all.
Thank you, everybody. Great job.
Yeah. Got it.